Welcome to this edition of the Eagle Sports Coaches Show. We're coming to you from the media room here on the Morehead State campus, and Kevin Fulton has joined us. As you can see, we are kind of cutting it down a little bit for the holidays, trying to save that money on that production. You know, we've spent blue millions of dollars on production for this show during the first semester, and time comes to budget cuts, and so we're trying to do our job.
I've heard you guys are up for an Emmy nomination. This has been fantastic
Well,
this fall.
Daniel has directed some good shows, and he's up for some major awards. So, we've already discredited all the work that Powder had done last year. So now Daniel is the man.
Daniel's the new George Clooney.
Yeah, in his mind. All right, Kevin, let's talk a little tennis here as we get started with the coaches show. You have some time right now. What have you been doing from the fall until right now?
Well, the fall leading up to now has basically been a bunch of individual practices, trying to get our players ready for the spring. We played in 3 tournaments this fall. I was very, very happy with our production. We've had a couple of injuries this fall. We actually lost a girl for the year, which has actually put a big damper. We lost Brooke Helms for the year. She had some issues medically, and I hate to see her career end this way.
It's always hard when you see someone who has put so much effort into their sport that doesn't go out on their terms.
Absolutely. Brooke, I may be wrong on these facts, but I think she's like 18-6 in conference play, so she's pretty much like a Mariana Rivero. You know she's at the end of the lineup, and she is going to close the deal. So to see that happen, it kind of upsets me and makes me sad, but she is doing well in school and finishing out her senior year strong.
And that's what's important. After the athletic part of it, they are here for their degrees, and I know
Absolutely.
You really take pride in the fact that your young men and women really strive for being that student athlete.
Absolutely. We always tell them when we're recruiting them and when we're talking to their parents that we're not recruiting athletic students, we're recruiting student athletes. And tennis, like a lot of sports in college, a lot of these kids are not going to go on to play professionally. Some of them may, but most of them are here as a way to get their education.
All right, so now you had your fall, so you ended your fall. So now, do you give them a little time off before, or are you right back at it on the practice courts?
Well, we ended a practice last week.
Time it for because the finals are.
Yeah, because the finals, we had to give them the week off leading up to finals, and then finals this week, and then we start back practice on January the 8th. Our first match is the 18th for both teams. They're going to be at 2 different sites. We actually play Marshall women here. I encourage everybody to come out on the 18th at 5 o'clock. It's going to be you're not going to be sorry you came out to watch a couple of these newcomers play.
Well, let's talk about the newcomers a little bit. We'll take the women first.
I have somebody on campus that we're not allowed to kind of talk about her much, but I'll just tell you this: she's very, very good, and I think that people will be thrilled to watch her play and her style of play. We've got a girl coming in January as well, Andrea LeBlanc Torres, the #1 ranked girl in Mexico, who will help us tremendously. I think people are going to be excited to watch Victoria Cran, how hard she's worked her 3 years here to get to this point as a senior. Dominique McLean, absolutely hands down the most improved player I've ever coached. She came in last January and didn't get to play, had to do a year of residency, but she got to practice every day, and she has worked very, very hard, probably one of the hardest working kids that we have. And I'm very, very excited about our other 2 freshmen, Sandrine Boulay and Lisa Pacheco. I know I just butchered her name, and she will definitely, if she sees this, will get on me. But everybody from the start of the semester has risen their game another level. I think that with the schedule we have, it's going to be kind of brutal at the beginning, but mark my words, this is a team that can do a lot of damage in the Ohio Valley Conference Tournament in the regular season, and I'm very, very excited about this girls' team.
Kevin Fulton is our guest. We're talking tennis here on the Eagle Sports Coaches Show, and You mentioned the schedule, and before we get to the men's team, I mean, you start out with Marshall, then Louisville, Kentucky, Xavier, Ohio State on
I
that
mean,
early
it's
schedule.
in that early schedule, and if you look on the 1st of February, the girls go to Memphis, and Memphis has 3 girls ranked in the top 75 in the ITA rankings. We are trying to promote someone here to try to get them in the individual event as well. With that being said, this is very, very challenging. These girls are up to the task. I think they understand the reason behind the schedule. I foresee a lot of positive things coming out of the beginning of the semester, and I really look forward to seeing how this team progresses as the semester moves on. The guys are the same way. They start out, they're playing number 25 and number 6 in the country in the same weekend, and Xavier's coming off a tough championship match loss in the Atlantic 10. They were in the NCAA 3 years prior to that, and I know Eric's going to have that team fired up to play us. So it's very challenging, but like I said, this is the best 2 squads I've had since I've been here. We've progressively gotten better every single year I've been here. We've got a lot of freshmen on the girls squad, which can go either way, but they're all very talented. On the guys team, it's a very experienced team. We've got 1 freshman this year. We got 2 newcomers coming in as well that are going to balance out the squad, and we probably won't have what you would call per se a stud at the top, but I think we're as deep as anybody in our conference.
You take a look at your schedule, and you take a look at when you come back. I guess you as a coach expect them to keep up their conditioning while they're gone.
I think it's very, very well known amongst my players that when you go home for the break, enjoy your family, but make sure that you do something, because we have worked very hard to get in the shape that we are in. I think tennis is unique in that aspect that we work all fall to get them in shape, and then we give them a month off, and it's during one of the biggest holidays in the world, and it's kind of hard to keep a monitor on them, but we've kind of got them where they have to report in. So hopefully they won't lie and check box where they've worked out that they've actually done it.
Well, do your foreign exchange students get to go home, or do they stay here? And does that make it easier if they do stay here, because you do have an indoor facility at the Eagle Center?
We have a mix going home and a mix staying. I've got a couple of juniors that are going to stay here. They've already worked out with me how to get into the Eagle Center. They're ready to go. I mean, these guys have been chomping the bit. Their last tournament was the 1st of November, so it's been a while since they've played. And like I said, it's a very upper-class team. So these guys aren't going to fool around during a break. We've got, I think, 3 going home and 3 staying here.
And that's always, because a lot of places, if you're, staying in the area, they may not have an indoor facility.
Absolutely.
And so if they stay here, or if they go home briefly and come back, at least they do get an opportunity, because you have an indoor facility, and they're tennis-wise, indoor facilities in East Kentucky are hard to come by.
Far and few between. Far and few between. But like I said, we've been very blessed with the Eagle Center. I can't ask for a better facility as far as the kids having a locker room, having a place to relax, having a place to study, and I think we have a definite home court advantage. If you've ever gotten out on the courts, they're probably the fastest courts in America. So it's a great advantage for these guys to train on them.
And it's also the work that you've done with this program since you've been here, the fact that now they do have the locker rooms at the Eagle Center near the tennis courts inside. When you bring a recruit on, you can show all that, and that has to help.
Well, we just signed the number 1 ranked girl in Kentucky, Kennedy Womack, and I can tell you that her mom was an alum, and she was absolutely blown away. And I can't thank Brian Hutchison and Dr. Andrews enough for giving all of us in the athletic department the tools that we need to be successful. That locker room helped us secure all of our recruits this fall. We signed Haley Wild out of Indiana. She's a top 6 kid in Indiana, and just having the ability to have it all in one place makes it so much easier because most schools our size, these kids are having to be vanned to a place to practice indoors during the winter, or they have to carry their rackets to their classes to get to practice in time. It's a very unique situation, one that I feel very blessed to be in.
Well, taking a look at your schedule overall, this may be your toughest schedule. I mean, you've got some great name schools, great tennis schools on this schedule.
Yeah, I can name Marshall, who's usually a top 45 program on the women. We got Louisville, Kentucky, Ohio State, Xavier, Arizona. The list goes on. It's right. States had a very good year last year. There's no cupcakes on this schedule, and I did it on purpose. It's either going to be a career year or career suicide. I hope that we're up for the task. But I honestly do believe that this is the first time I've had two teams that I feel can handle a schedule like this, because you go into it when you're setting a schedule up thinking you're going to have a certain percentage you know you're not going to win, a certain percentage that you know you're going to win, and then a certain percentage it's going to go either way. This has a lot of you may not win, you could win. There's not a lot of guaranteed wins, and I like that because I think these kids are hungry enough and they want to earn it.
Once again, the Eagles will get back in action on January 18th. The women will host Marshall at 5 o'clock, and as Kevin said, he'd like a big crowd to come out. The men are also in action that day at Louisville, and then the next day they're right back in action. The women taking on Kentucky at UK, and the men
are off.
The men are off that day, but then it's Louisville and Kentucky again. The women will play Louisville on the 20th. The men play Kentucky also on the 20th.
Yeah, it's a great start to the year. I always feel very blessed to have connections with both those programs. It allows us an opportunity to see where we are. You know, it definitely doesn't hurt to come out and play a few matches early. I like the girls playing 3 in a row. I did it last year with the guys where we actually started the year with a triple header in one day at Michigan State. If you're going to win the conference tournament, you're going to have to play you're going to have to play 3 days in a row if you don't get seeded 1 or 2. I think it sets a tone for the kids to get a lot of matches early. We have a little low in February. We have a couple weeks between matches. That's when you really kind of let them rest up. You kind of work on getting ready for the push in March and April. And I think it's a tremendous schedule. Any kid that looks at this and says, you know, I'm not sure about a school the size of Morehead State, when you show them what you're playing, they're like, okay, I have a chance to come here and get nationally ranked. I have a chance to come in here and play these quality schools where maybe I could have gone to UK and not played, but I can come to Morehead and I can play UK year in, year out, or I can play Louisville, or I'm going to get to play on Ohio State, or I'm going to get to play in Arizona. So it's a nice schedule.
Kevin, always a pleasure. Have a good holiday.
Happy holidays, Jason.
Kevin Fulton, tennis coach here at Morehead State University. We'll come back with more. This is the Eagle Sports Coaches Show.